I moved into the new house on a quiet Sunday afternoon, the kind of day that feels almost too peaceful. It was a small place in suburban Ohio, freshly painted, cheap rent. Honestly, a steal. The realtor kept saying how lucky I was. At the time, I believed her. By my first night there, the house already felt off. Not haunted house creepy, just wrong. The air felt heavy, like the walls were holding their breath. I chalked it up to nerves. New place, new sounds, no big deal. Around 11:40 p.m., while I was lying on the mattress I hadn't even put sheets on yet, I heard it. A slow creak. Then another, like footsteps, coming from the hallway. I sat up, heart thumping. The house was supposed to be empty. No roommates, no pets, just me. Probably the house settling, I muttered, trying not to freak out. Old houses make noise, right? Then the footsteps stopped, right outside my bedroom door. I stared at the door, barely breathing. The handle didn't move, no shadows slipped under the gap, just silence so thick it made my ears ring. I grabbed my phone, thumb hovering over the flashlight, telling myself not to be a wimp. New house jitters. Happens to everyone. I flicked the light on. The hallway was empty. No one there. I let out a shaky laugh, feeling stupid, and told myself to crash already. Tomorrow was a work day, and I didn't need to be wrecked. That's when I noticed the smell. Not gas, not trash. Something damp, like a basement that hadn't seen sunlight in years. It drifted in slow, crawling under the door and into my room. I checked the vents, nothing. I checked the bathroom, clean, too clean. When I came back, my bedroom door was open. I know for a fact I closed it. My stomach dropped. Okay, not funny, I said to nobody, feeling my pulse spike. From somewhere inside the house, something shifted, soft, deliberate, like it knew I was finally paying attention. I stood there frozen, staring at the open doorway. The smell was stronger now, thick and sour, like wet wood and old clothes. My brain kept screaming at me to leave, but my body didn't listen. Instead, I stepped into the hallway, slow, careful. The floor creaked under my weight, louder than before. It felt wrong, like the house was suddenly aware of me. I turned on every light as I moved, room by room. Living room, empty. Kitchen, clean counters, nothing out of place. Then I noticed it. The front door was unlocked. I know I locked it. I always lock it. I even remember double-checking because the neighborhood was unfamiliar. My hands started shaking as I twisted the deadbolt back into place. That's when I heard it again. A slow exhale. Not near me, but close, like someone breathing from just the other side of a wall. I held my breath, listening, heart pounding. The exhale came again, longer this time. Whatever was in the house wasn't wandering anymore. It was staying still, listening. I pressed my ear against the wall, barely daring to breathe. The sound stopped instantly, like whatever made it knew I was listening. A chill ran down my spine. That's when I realized how quiet the house had become. No fridge hum, no ticking clock, just dead silence. I pulled away from the wall and checked my phone. No signal, 0 bars. That didn't make sense. I'd had full service earlier. I felt that slow, creeping panic start to crawl up my chest. Then something brushed past my leg. Light, quick, like fingers. I jumped back, almost tripping over myself, heart slamming. I flipped on my phone flashlight and aimed it at the floor. Nothing there. No bugs, no shadows. But the smell. It was everywhere now, strong enough to make my eyes water. The feeling was like the house was closing in, shrinking around me. From the far end of the hallway, a soft tap echoed. Then another, slow, rhythmic, like someone knocking from inside the walls.
I backed away from the sound, every nerve screaming at me to run. The tapping didn't stop. It followed me. Tap, tap, tap. Moving through the walls, keeping pace with my steps. I reached the living room and froze. The lights I'd turned on earlier were off again, all of them. The house was dark except for the weak glow of my phone. My throat felt tight, like I'd swallowed ice. That's when I noticed the vent near the floor. The metal cover was slightly bent outward, just enough to notice. And behind it, darkness. Too deep for a normal duct. The tapping came from there now, slow, patient. I crouched down against every instinct I had and aimed my flashlight inside. Dust swirled, something shifted back, just out of view. Not fast, not panicked, like it had been watching me for a while. Then a voice whispered from inside the wall, soft and dry. "You weren't supposed to hear me yet." I stumbled backwards, slamming into the couch. My heart was going absolutely nuts, like it was trying to punch its way out of my chest. "Who's there?" I shouted, hating how thin my voice sounded. No answer. Just that same heavy silence pressing down on me. The vent cover began to rattle. Not violently, slow, controlled, like someone gently testing it from the inside. I watched, frozen, as one screw twisted loose and dropped onto the floor with a sharp clink. I bolted for the front door. I didn't care about my stuff, didn't care about the lease. I just needed out. I grabbed the handle and yanked. It didn't budge. Behind me, the tapping stopped. A moment later, I felt warm breath brush the back of my neck. "You moved in too early." The lights snapped on all at once, the door swung open, and the house went quiet, like nothing had ever happened. I stood there shaking on the porch, staring back into the house. From the outside, it looked completely normal. Lights on, curtains still, no movement, no shadows. If someone had driven past, they'd think nothing was wrong. I didn't go back inside that night. I slept in my car, parked under a streetlight like a scared kid. The next morning, I brought a police officer with me. We searched every room, every vent, every crawl space. Nothing. No signs of forced entry, no hidden rooms, no squatters. The officer gave me that look, the one that says, "You probably imagined it." I almost believed him until we checked the lease paperwork. The house wasn't supposed to be available yet. According to the records, the previous tenant had never officially moved out. They were still listed as occupying the property. I broke the lease that same day, moved out before sunset. But sometimes, late at night, I still catch that smell in my apartment. Damp, rotten, familiar. And I swear, it smells like that house followed me. If you're listening to this late at night, you're not alone. More true new house horror stories are coming. Subscribe to Mr. Dark Confessions and keep the lights on. I thought moving into a new house would be a fresh start. New city, new job, new routine. The place was a 2-story fixer-upper in a quiet Indiana neighborhood. Nothing fancy, but it had good bones. That's what the inspector said. The first week went smooth, almost too smooth. No weird noises, no bad vibes, just that empty house silence you get when you're still unpacking boxes. I started to relax, figured I'd lucked out. Then came the first night I stayed up late. Around 1:15 a.m., I was in the kitchen scrolling my phone half asleep when I heard a soft click. It came from upstairs. At first, I ignored it. Houses make noise, pipes shift, wood pops. That's normal. But then I heard it again. Click. Same sound, same timing, like someone flicking a light switch.
I muted my phone and listened. Another click, followed by slow footsteps overhead. Measured, careful, like whoever it was didn't want to be heard. I lived alone, no roommates, no pets, and suddenly that good deal house didn't feel like such a steal anymore. I stood there at the bottom of the stairs staring up into the dark. My voice sounded weak in the empty house. No answer, just the low hum of the fridge behind me. Another click, louder this time, definitely a switch. The upstairs bathroom light flicked on, spilling a thin yellow glow across the hallway ceiling. My stomach dropped. I hadn't turned it on. I hadn't even gone upstairs yet. I told myself someone must have messed with the wiring. Old house, bad electrical work. That excuse felt thin, but it was all I had. I climbed the stairs slow, one step at a time, gripping the railing like it might keep me grounded. Halfway up, I heard it. A slow breath, not mine, coming from the bathroom at the end of the hall. The light clicked off again, and in the dark, footsteps started moving toward me. I froze at the top of the stairs, heart hammering. The footsteps stopped, perfectly silent, like whatever it was knew I was listening. I couldn't see anything. Hallway pitch dark except for the faint glow from the streetlight outside. I took a step forward carefully. Another slow breath hit my ear, this time colder. "Why are you here?" I whispered, half to myself, half hoping it would answer. Nothing. The bathroom door creaked open on its own. A soft metallic groan. I could see the faint outline of the tub. Empty, but I felt it. That same pressure, like someone was standing just behind me. I grabbed my phone, flashlight mode, and pointed it at the hallway. Nothing, just the peeling wallpaper, the old carpet, and the long shadow of my own hand. Then I noticed something written on the wall in the bathroom, barely visible in the dim light. "I see you." I stumbled back, dropping my phone. The glow hit the wall again, and the words were gone, just the plain, empty bathroom. The house had just become very, very real. I bent down to grab my phone, hands shaking, and that's when I heard it again. Soft, dragging sounds, like something heavy being pulled across the floor upstairs. Not fast, slow, deliberate. I told myself to call 911, but my thumbs froze over the screen. No signal, of course, just my luck. The old wiring and thick walls in this house were messing with service. I crept to the hallway, trying to stay as quiet as possible. Every floorboard groaned under my weight. Every shadow seemed to stretch toward me. The smell started again, damp, metallic, like something wet had been left to rot. Then the bedroom door at the far end of the hall opened slowly. No wind, no draft, just it swung wide on its own. I swallowed hard, voice caught in my throat. "Who's there?" I barely whispered. No answer, only the soft drag continued, coming closer, inch by inch, following me down the hall. I realized I wasn't alone in this house, not by a long shot. I pressed myself against the wall, heart pounding, trying not to make a sound. The dragging noise stopped, dead silence. For a moment, I thought maybe I'd imagined it. Then, I felt it. A cold breeze brushing the back of my neck. Not from a window, not from the vents. Something living, something close. I turned slowly, shining my flashlight down the hallway. The light flickered, just a brief pulse, but long enough to see it. A shadow, standing at the edge of the doorway, too tall to be human. I stumbled back, tripping over a rug. The shadow didn't move. It just watched, waiting. That smell, damp, metallic, hit me full force. I gagged. Then the front door slammed shut. A bang. Pause. Not just closed, slammed, hard, like someone had shoved it with all their weight. I knew then.
I wasn't dealing with a normal intruder. Whatever was in this house, it wasn't going anywhere. I backed into the nearest room, phone clutched tight, trying to keep my breathing steady. Every instinct screamed at me to run, but the hallway behind me was darker than ever. The shadow didn't move. It waited, watching. I tried opening a window, locked. Tried the door, locked from the inside. "What do you want?" My voice shook. Silence. Then, a soft tap, tap, tap on the walls. Not random, rhythmical, like someone marking time. I grabbed a baseball bat from the corner, hands trembling. The dragging started again, closer this time, coming toward me. I could feel the floorboards groan under each invisible step. Suddenly, the bedroom light snapped on. Nothing, just empty walls. The smell lingered, metallic, damp, cold. My stomach turned. I didn't stay another second. I ran for the front door, jumped into my car, and didn't look back. That house, it wasn't just old, it was alive, and it didn't want me there. If you're brave enough to hear more, subscribe to Mr. Dark Confessions and keep the lights on. I moved into a small, two-bedroom townhouse in Ohio, thinking I'd finally found a cozy place to call home. Everything was fine at first. Quiet streets, polite neighbors, no issues. I even joked to myself how peaceful it was. The first week, nothing unusual happened. Boxes everywhere, assembling furniture, unpacking kitchen stuff. But on night 2, around 11:45 p.m., I was in the living room watching TV when I heard a soft thud upstairs. Thump, thump, thump. I froze, thinking maybe it was just the old house settling. But the rhythm was too steady, deliberate. Someone or something was moving up there. I grabbed my phone, flashlight on, and slowly climbed the stairs. Each step creaked under my weight, echoing through the empty hallway. The thumping stopped. Perfect silence. Too perfect. I reached the master bedroom door. It was closed, but I could hear breathing. Slow. Heavy. Not mine. Not any pets. Something was inside my room. I swallowed hard, trying to convince myself it was nothing, but deep down, I knew. This night was about to get a lot worse. I stood frozen outside the bedroom door, heart hammering. The breathing continued, slow, deliberate, like someone savoring the fear in the air. I wanted to run, but my legs refused. I whispered, "Who's there?" Nothing. Just that cold, heavy silence pressing against me. Then, a soft scrape, like fingernails dragging across wood. My phone's flashlight barely lit the room, but I could see shadows shifting inside. Nothing solid, just movement, like the darkness itself was alive. I swallowed hard and pushed the door open an inch. The room appeared empty. Bed made, closet closed. Nothing seemed out of place, yet that smell hid me. Damp, metallic, and cold. My stomach twisted. Suddenly, the bedroom light flicked on by itself. The closet door creaked open slowly, a shadow moving inside it. I could see it, tall, hunched, just standing there, watching me. I stumbled back, breathing heavy. My phone slipped from my hands, clattering to the floor. And then, the front door slammed, hard, from the inside. This house wasn't empty. It never had been. I scrambled to pick up my phone, fingers trembling. The shadow didn't move. It just stayed in the closet, silent, watching me. My heart felt like it was about to explode. I whispered, "I don't want any trouble." My voice sounded small in the empty room. No response, just the faint hum of the old heater. Then a soft tap, tap, tap on the closet door, not random, rhythmic, like a warning. My stomach turned to ice. I pointed my phone's flashlight toward the bed. Nothing. The bed looked normal. The dresser, normal. Everything appeared fine, except the air. Heavy, cold, almost alive. A sudden thump came from the ceiling above, then another, and then another. Not footsteps, something heavier, something pacing. I backed towards a hallway, eyes darting, trying to see where it could be hiding. The closet door slowly creaked wider, and the shadow stepped out, tall, too tall, silent, and closer than it should have been. I realized then, this wasn't just a haunted house. It was a trap, and I was the prey. I froze hallway, trying to catch my breath. The shadow stood at the edge of the bedroom doorway, unmoving. Its presence was suffocating, like the air itself was heavier. I backed towards the stairs, whispering, "Please, just go away." My voice barely carried. The shadow didn't respond, not a sound, only that oppressive feeling pressing in. Then I heard it, a soft dragging sound coming from the basement, slow, deliberate. Something or someone was moving down there, and it wasn't furniture. I debated calling 911, but the signal was weak, no bars. Typical in old townhouses, they say, but I knew this was different. Not just bad reception, something was blocking me. Suddenly, the bedroom light snapped on again. The shadow was gone. The room looked normal, but the air, still wrong. Cold, damp, heavy with that metallic smell. I realized I had to move, now. But the sound from the basement, it was moving closer, towards the stairs, and the thought hit me. Whoever or whatever was in this house, it knew I was upstairs. I stepped back into the bedroom and quietly shut the door, heart pounding so loud I was sure it could hear it. The dragging sound stopped. Complete silence. The kind that makes your ears ring. I grabbed my phone again. Still no signal, not even emergency calls. My screen flickered for a second, then went dark, dead, even though I'd charged it before bed. That's when I noticed the temperature dropping fast. My breath started to fog. From the other side of the door, I heard a knock. Not loud, not aggressive, just polite. 3 slow taps. A voice followed. Calm, familiar. It sounded like me. "You can come out now. It's safe." My stomach twisted. I didn't answer. Another knock, closer this time, like it was leaning against the door. Then the voice whispered, "You shouldn't have taken this room." The handle slowly turned, and that's when I realized something horrifying. This house wasn't reacting to me anymore. It was testing me. The door creaked open an inch. I held my breath, frozen, every muscle locked. Cold air poured in, carrying that same rotten metal smell. I didn't look. I couldn't. The voice spoke again, closer now. "You stayed longer than the others." My legs finally moved. I bolted past the door and down the hallway. The house groaned like it was waking up. Lights flickered. Walls seemed to stretch. Hallways longer than before. The front door was right there, but it slammed shut on its own. Behind me, footsteps copied mine, perfectly timed. Too perfect. I screamed and threw my weight into the door. It burst open, and I fell onto the porch. The house went silent instantly. No footsteps, no voice. By morning, the house looked normal. Realtor claimed no one had lived there before me. But weeks later, a for sale sign went back up. And in the listing photos, I was standing in the upstairs window, watching.
I moved into a charming old house in Vermont, thinking it would be the perfect fresh start. The The kind of place with creaky floors and antique windows that give it character. Or so I thought. The first night was quiet. Too quiet. I unpacked, made some tea, and settled in. Around midnight, I heard a faint tapping sound coming from the attic. Tap, tap, tap. I froze. The attic stairs were old and creaked at the slightest touch. I told myself it was just the house settling. But the taps repeated, slow, deliberate, almost like someone was marking time. I went upstairs, flashlight in hand, each step echoing through the empty rooms. The attic door was closed. I reached for the knob. Cold. Ice cold, even though the rest of the house was warm. I pushed it open, and nothing was there. Just dusty old furniture and boxes. But the smell, damp, metallic, like blood mixed with rust, hit me. I stepped back. The door slammed shut behind me on its own, and that's why I heard it. Finally, you're awake. My heart raced. I spun around, but the attic was empty. Dust floated in the flashlight beam, swirling like it had a life of its own. Then I heard it again. Soft, deliberate footsteps across the floorboards. Not mine. Too heavy. Slow. Measured. Tap, tap, tap. I backed toward the stairs, trying to stay calm. My phone buzzed in my pocket, screen lighting up. No messages, no calls. Just static. A distorted, almost human voice whispered through the speaker. You shouldn't be here. The air grew colder. My breath fogged, and every instinct screamed at me to leave. I grabbed a box for protection, something heavy to swing if needed. A shadow flickered at the corner of my flashlight beam. Too fast for human. Too unnatural. I realized then that whatever was in this house, it had been waiting, watching, and now it knew I was awake. I crouched by the stairs, holding my flashlight tight. Every nerve in my body screamed to run, but my feet felt frozen. The shadow in the attic moved again, faster this time, just at the edge of my vision. A soft whisper echoed through the room. Don't leave, not yet. My stomach churned. The voice wasn't human, it was hollow, dragging across the walls like smoke. I inched toward the attic door, trying to peek inside. The floorboards groaned under an invisible weight. A cold hand seemed to brush my shoulder. Light, but enough to make me gasp. The lights flickered. Then a box fell from the shelf behind me. It hit the floor with a crash. I jumped, heart hammering. I heard it again. Breathing. Slow. Heavy. Right behind me. I spun around. Nothing. But the air was thick, heavy, metallic, like something had just breathed over my neck. I knew then, this house didn't want me to leave quietly. I backed away from the attic door, clutching my flashlight like a lifeline. The air was ice cold, and every breath felt like shards of glass in my lungs. Then I heard it, a low, dragging sound from the far corner of the attic. Scrape. It wasn't just boxes moving. It was deliberate, purposeful. Something, or someone, was pacing, waiting. I tried to call out, "Hello? Who's there?" My voice sounded small, swallowed by the heavy, oppressive air. No answer. Only that dragging sound, growing closer with each second. Suddenly, a shadow darted across the wall, fast, unnaturally fast. My flashlight flickered, then steadied. The shadow was gone, but the sense of being watched didn't leave. I realized then
that this house had a memory. It remembered everyone who lived here, and now it was marking me. I stood frozen at the top of the stairs, heart hammering. The attic door was slightly ajar, a dark shape moving just inside. I could feel it staring, patient, waiting for me to make a mistake. A cold draft brushed my neck. "You can't leave, yet." My stomach churned. The voice sounded like it was coming from everywhere and nowhere at the same time. I grabbed a nearby broom, holding it like a weapon. The shadow shifted closer, slow, deliberate. Each step made the old floorboards groan, echoing through the house like a warning. I tried to step back, but the stairs creaked beneath me. The front door slammed in the distance. Then the silence returned. Not peaceful, oppressive, heavy, filled with anticipation. My flashlight flickered again. For a split second, I thought I saw a figure at the far end of the hallway. Tall, hunched, unmoving, then gone. The house wasn't just old. It was alive, and I was trapped inside. I knew I couldn't stay in the attic any longer. My hands were shaking, my breath coming in sharp, sharp gasps. The shadow hadn't moved, but I could feel it, watching, calculating, waiting for me to slip. I bolted down the stairs, flashlight beam bouncing wildly across the walls. Each step echoed like a drum in the empty house. The air grew colder with every second, and the metallic smell was stronger, almost choking me. I reached the front door, yanked it open, and stumbled outside. The crisp night air hit me like a slap. Behind me, the attic window was dark again. No shadow, no movement, just silence. You can never leave. By morning, I had packed all my things. The house looked innocent in the sunlight, quiet and ordinary. But I knew better. That place, it remembers, it watches, and if you're not careful, it waits.